Welcome to the Undrafted, Uncensored cast of Pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanger. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome everyone to the Undrafted Uncensored, the final show of the year. Oh, hang on a sec. I gotta declare myself. You guys got that? I'm declaring myself.
Joe, you're now an eligible receiver. You're now an eligible host. Thank you for declaring.
Thank you so much. I'm very prepared to be a host. Clearly, as I just ate
because
a
eating
small
on
bacon
this
wrap
show,
sausage.
so perfect.
That couldn't have worked out any better. Thank you, Colin, for playing along, Joe.
Wonderful.
You just time everything perfectly, no matter what.
Thanks for being as oblivious as the refs, Joe.
It's perfect. You know what? Nobody declared to me at all. I'm just gonna throw a flag.
Oh well, that was a painful way for that game to end. I'm not gonna lie. I love when the Lions beat anybody anyway because it's just fun. But for the game to end that way, I mean, it's just the epitome of how this season's been going, officiating wise, and just nobody's happy.
Nobody gets to be happy.
All right. So smart or stupid going for it like 5 times?
Stupid.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, first couple times, maybe even the first 3 times, like I'm here for it. It's Dan Campbell. Dan Gamble. But like at some point, go to fucking overtime. Trust your defense.
Play for the overtime.
They talk so much in those end-game press conferences, both him and Jarett about how good the defense played. Well, then put it in their fucking hands with very little time left and go to overtime, and then you flip a coin. And then at that point, you still have to trust your defense if you lose the coin toss.
Yeah, it was. I'm good with the first 2. After that, let's play football, boys. Let's play for the tie. Let's do what we do best, and that's put that defense out there to give us an opportunity to win.
Yeah, you have the momentum, and after those penalties and everything, I said, you know what? Call your losses. Let's go to overtime. I understand where he was coming from, but I think he should have just gone back and kicked the field goal once it got to that point. It was a bad play call. You already showed your hand as far as your plays go when it gets to that point. So you're not going to show him anything new at that point in time. So
yeah,
I feel bad because I wanted Detroit to win that game so bad.
I did too. And I mean, mostly because it was against the Cowboys, but
yeah.
Partially just because it's the Lions. Still, they're the little engine that could right now.
Yes.
They're America's team.
Kitty cats that could.
They're America's team right now.
America's team.
Too soon?
Yes. And I was gonna say they might be the engine that could, but we got someone who can't anymore.
Speaking of things that don't really change, let's go ahead and dive into that Broncos game today. It turns out it doesn't matter who's driving that offense, it's boring.
It was fun when you were there. Because
that's always how it is.
At the game, exactly. But it has nothing to do with anything else. It was rough, man. Like having Jaleel McLaughlin be the leading rusher with 44 yards or something. Like that's not great. Thank God for little Jordan Humphrey just coming out there and balling out and giving us something to be excited for.
He's taking advantage of the opportunity too.
Oh, dude, yeah. Just juking out dudes because he's the slowest motherfucker in the NFL, and I love it. Just bowling over people, juking them out, making big catches. You don't have to be fast. You just get to the end zone.
Turns out Jabba the Hutt can make people miss.
Oh, dude, that was phenomenal. But then, towards the end of the game, having it be more of a defensive game is always fun at the game because you're up yelling more. It means more.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of enjoyed those games just growing up from a going to Bronco games kind of standpoint. So that was really fun. There was a great point at the end after the Broncos got down on the goal line, and it was like 4th and 2, and they were about to go for it, and the Chargers called the timeout. And because the tickets that we got from some company, I guess, were so close to the Broncos sideline and down there, I literally yelled, "Kick it, Sean!" And he sat there. And then my buddy Jimbo, who's large and very loud, and my buddy Petey, who's also very loud, but also about my height, we all just start yelling, 10 points, kick it! And like, we cannot be sure that that's why Sean Payton didn't pull a Dan Campbell and try to go for it again, but I'm going to say it was.
Yeah, maybe
Dan Campbell had to get it from somewhere.
Maybe you learned from the Patriots game. Just take the points.
You just needed to have good quality advice coming from the stands. It was my buddy yelled at Cushenberry that he has to block and not just hike, and he like snapped his head around and looked at him. It was pretty fun. We were of course screaming, "Run the toss!" because you got to run the toss. That's that was our whole thing from the Chiefs game, especially 52 toss. So that was pretty fun. So that part was phenomenal, but like, and overall, it's sad to lose another draft pick, but it just feels good to be able to do something, beat a division rival with the Chargers, because I really don't think the pick positioning matters as much anymore. Once you kind of get past that top 10, it's just going to suck no matter what. So you kind of just got to hope somebody falls to you, or just be resigned to trading up, or like a lot of people are speculating, maybe just go for a free agent, depending on who's going to be out there. If there's a guy that Sean Payton likes, I think Sean Payton seems more prone to not wanting to draft a quarterback. But like this draft, I feel like they have to, but like, I don't know, man.
I mean, there's no Drew Brees in this free agent class.
No,
let's
that's
be honest.
that's a good yeah,
that's what Sean Payton got last time. It's the next quarterback for the Broncos. I mean, I haven't checked 2 years ahead where the free agent market lies for quarterbacks, but this next year I know is really Kirk Cousins, and that's coming off an Achilles. That is the belle of the ball, at least right now. Sure, Kyler Murray could become available, and that would be via trade. I mean,
you're stuck in the same boat still with those two.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're stuck in two different boats. Kyler is way more athletic and off script than Kirk Cousins is. Kirk Cousins is a 5 steps
as far as
back leg and throw.
I mean, as far as talent, with Russ.
Well, yeah, and
they're on the
with
same
an offensive
level.
line, you're a lot better off with a Kyler Murray than you are a Kirk Cousins. At least how it stands now. But either way, I don't think either of those guys are the answer, and I agree that you're still stuck in the same boat.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, like you said, Joe, it doesn't change where the draft pick goes. It's really not that big of a difference right now. I said it before. We're gonna look back at that winning streak and be like, man, was it really worth it? Like, was it really worth it? And we won't know for a while. I think it will take some time because we also have to see how the top picks end up playing out. And if the Broncos had lost some of those where they would have ended up, it's going to be the guessing game. Like we're still kind of playing with Justin Fields and Patrick Surtain. And it's hard to play that game because things would be a lot different. Obviously, Russ wouldn't be here and we wouldn't have that contract over our heads. The Broncos, Broncos would have had some different moves. So it all goes hand in hand. It's easier to move
on from Fields than it would be for Russ. Well, so even worst case scenario, however you feel about either guy, like that's they might be in a better place with Fields.
Yeah, but I mean, Russ is gone at the end of the season, and we're
possibly. There's still lingering. You can't say it's 100% definitive. There's still a lingering chance where the Broncos hold on to him because of just that money that's due.
You're right. It's not 100%.
I think it kind of is, though, because they benched him for the injury guarantee so they can get rid of him. Because at the end of the day, it's still going to be cheaper to get rid of him because then you also don't have him for as long. But the dead money is going to hurt for sure. But I feel like at this point, it's especially with the media stuff, of like Russ saying that he was threatened, which I don't necessarily believe. I feel like that's just kind of the reality of it. Like they have to bench him because of the injury stuff. If the playoffs aren't like,
Well,
but this was going on before the playoff run too.
Yeah,
this was
exactly.
This was going on after the Chiefs. After the Chiefs win, they went to the bye week.
Yeah, it was before the Chiefs win, I think, wasn't it?
It was after.
It was after.
But after, okay. Which I think that's just due diligence at that point. Like that's a good way to go about things. So as long as there weren't actual threats, I think that's fine. And
I have a hard time believing there weren't.
Why would there be? Because that's just the reality of it.
Sean Payton's a total asshole, dude.
Well, yeah, but the threat
Sean Payton's an asshole.
Well, Sean Payton, I mean, of course, he said this isn't his decision, but I feel like this was everyone's decision. Like everyone,
I believe that dude as far as I can throw him.
You know, I believe George Payton would agree with that because they needed to get him to restructure. I'm sure the Waltons, or guys, Greg Penner in this case, like I think everybody was, Money Leach. I think they were all in agreement that Russ had to restructure, or they were going to have to bench him unless the playoffs were imminent because they just couldn't afford him to get hurt.
Well, this is what it comes down to. So it's either how you view it, what side you view it on. It was either a threat or an ultimatum.
Yeah,
like that. It was one of those two things, and both things can be true at the same time. Russ could have taken it as a threat.
It's an interpretation,
and they gave him an ultimatum, like basically, hey, this is what we got to do. And even going back to what I've said before, when you were looking at those wins, they seemed fluky. I mean, you had all the defensive touchdowns or turnovers, and not defensive touchdown, defensive turnovers.
Yeah, no touchdowns.
You had Patrick Mahomes being sick in that game. You had wins, yes, but it wasn't because of Russell Wilson's play that you were winning those games. And so, as an organization, do you want to keep trotting this guy out there when he's getting clobbered behind an offensive line that, while is one of the only offensive line to play together the whole season, they're still not that good.
No.
I mean, maybe average on a good day, below average most other days. I mean, how many it's Stidham, but how many sacks did he take today?
Yeah.
Was it like 5? 4?
Yeah.
Well, he ran for his life and had to scramble a few times and got some yards a couple times, which was fun. Yeah. I could out there, come on, Jarett, just really accentuating the T.
But when you look at the Broncos, like it wasn't Russ winning those games. So if you're going to be on the hook for the rest of that contract, I mean, you got to make sure you're protected from that injury. And I don't blame Russ for not taking it. I don't blame the Broncos for not doing it either.
I don't blame
this is not that Russell Wilson could get traded, but man, look at how ugly it was for the Raiders and Carr last year when they agreed to trade Carr to New Orleans. And he's like, oh wait, no, I don't want you to trade me. You don't get any draft picks for me. You don't get anything at the end of this. Not that the Broncos could trade him, but it's just it's all but over. It's all but officially over. Like I said, there's things that could happen. And I'm just worried that now that the Broncos have won and got this middling pick, they're stuck in the middle again. That they're stuck in this one space where they're gonna just keep plugging by, barely winning a few games, and they're not going to be bad enough to get good.
They're not even Matt Damon. They're Greg Kinnear.
There's still potential out there, though, too. A lot of these kids aren't playing in these bowl games anymore because they don't want to hurt their draft stock, because they don't want to get hurt. And so you end up with FSU getting blown out 63-3. And, there's still going to be potential out there because the Broncos have holes to fill no matter what. And you can fill a hole with a first-round draft pick. Yes, they would prefer a quarterback, and I still stand by the fact that I think Bo Nix will fall down far enough that they can pick him up, or somebody of his caliber. Because even though everybody wants more quarterback stock, the quarterback's like a pitcher. You can't have enough. You want to stock up on as many as you can and use those as trade bait. But at the same time, if you can find those teams that, want a lineman or want a wide receiver, and they know that receiver is going to fall to 17, and you can jump up a few spaces to 12 to pick up a middle of the round, first round draft pick or first round quarterback, then do it.
Yeah. And sadly, that's what they have to rely on now. is something like that being able to somehow work out whether they can package a player that they don't totally love to save a little bit of draft capital, or again pay more draft capital to have to try to fix the situation. Which if they hit on the guy, then it's all forgiven. But like you said, it's going to be guys like Bo Nix, like Michael Penix, and like hopefully whoever it is, if that's the way the Broncos go, which I think they should. This is just too good of a quarterback draft, I think, to not take somebody, unless you're going to do the Ravens thing and trade up for the very end of the first round type deal. But there's a lot of quarterbacks that are pretty highly ranked right now, so there might be a more than that 4 or 5. I think it was 5 in that year. That could get broken this year.
Yeah, every year that every year that we say that this is such a great class, it feels like it's a letdown in a lot of ways.
Oh, I don't think it's actually great, but they're all very highly rated. So a good guy could fall because the field seems kind of muddled.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was getting to is like, yeah, they can fall, but for every Lamar Jackson, you have a Ryan Tannehill. I mean, you have a Christian Ponder,
Josh Rosen.
Well, he was a top pick.
That's true.
Well, like you have
top 10. You're right. Sorry.
You have these top picks that what you're still choosing from is everyone else's leftovers, and
you're still
and I've stood by that is that I don't like that. I don't like getting everyone else's leftovers. And if it's their guy, it's their guy. That's fine. But I'd rather have my pick of the litter than to only be choosing from 2 of the 5 guys, for example.
I mean, you're also basing this on what they've done against college talent too. No offense to the elite 1% that have been able to play college sports, because I wish I could have. But at the same time, you're still rolling the dice on them no matter what. Ask the Cleveland Browns that had the first round or the number 1 pick every year for how many years, how well that worked out for them.
No, agreed. I mean, they also had a lot of coaching uncertainty. I think that there's coaching certainty here that the coach will be Sean Payton for the next few years. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on with the Browns that I think is different than the Broncos organization.
There's still turmoil, though.
No, I agree there is, but I think there's less turmoil than there is in the Browns organization. When that string started and they became, the Browns again, or started back up again.
Yeah.
That was restarting a franchise from scratch. And so
what? They started from scratch?
Hugh Jackson was the coach. I mean, come on. But it worked. They got Myles Garrett. They got
they overnight the team somewhere or something?
Yeah, I think so. I think they Mayflowered it down southwest. Southeast.
Southeast.
I can't. I've been up since 4 a.m. So, yeah, like I said, I worry. Like I said, that the fact is that the Broncos are going to get stuck in this area of just being not even above average, but above being crappy. Because they do have some talent. It's just that it's not talent enough to continue to win when these other teams realize that the tank, it's not working for Carolina. But man, the Bears in the next few years, they are going to look so good if they can get it right.
Have you seen the Bears history?
Dude, they have 2 top 5 picks.
They traded the number 1 pick last year
to get the number 1 pick this year.
Dude, yeah, they're going to be. It's going to be so fascinating to see how
they can get it right this year. Watch the fuck out, dude. I'm telling you.
I want to see, because we've had this conversation before, but
I'll believe it when
I'm with the opinion they should trade Justin Fields and get even more draft capital and just fully do all of it. I think that would be, and the idea of being able to get your choice at quarterback and maybe Marvin Harrison or a crazy lineman or a linebacker pass rusher guy like Houston did. Like, dude, it's going to be fascinating how they do it. Or if they go like what Colin says and keep Fields and then use all those picks on other shit, which is kind of what the Broncos want, because that uses up all those top picks not being quarterbacks. Yeah. So then those teams behind them, there's going to be just a feeding frenzy at the bottom of the top 5 and top 10 for the rest of those quarterbacks. But again, having to rely on those things sucks. But at this point, we just have to hope that's that's how it goes, But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see the Bears have a chance to be the NFL's Oklahoma City Thunder. It could be kind of nuts.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it. I don't trust them.
I don't either, but they could do it. We didn't trust the Thunder either, and look what they did.
Yeah. And they've still got picks.
Oh, yeah.
Something the Broncos do not have.
Oh, yeah.
So with all these moves and all this stuff going on now, does this put Sean Payton on the clock? Is this now officially his team, his drama, his problem? You have one game left against the Raiders. You had an opportunity to fall ass backwards into winning the division after starting the season 1-5. And now here you are, you're looking to at least have a winning season for the first time since 2016. Is this officially his time to put his fingerprints on this? Because you have nobody to blame now but yourself. You sat your starting quarterback. You've shipped out captains. You've firmly established who you want to try and have. Basically, you're playing a tryout.
I mean, not yet, Nick. Not yet. Once George Payton is gone, then yes. Like it is 95% of the way there, but it's not fully there yet. Because once this is his draft and his class that he brings in, then it's his. This is still George Payton's group, even though we know he's really in charge. But it's still easy to point the finger, which we've seen him do already. So don't think that it won't happen again, that he won't point it at George Payton or someone else right now. Once Sean Payton takes that full control and there's no one else in his way, no one else to point to, then it's his show, which I think is going to happen sooner than later. But as of right now, no, not until George Payton is gone.
So I disagree. I think it kind of does. I think he'll still have to, screw up in order for it to really start to become a hot seat or anything. But next year, he'll have a full off season. He'll be able to handpick the quarterback. That's going to be a big deal. He's going to be able to really shape the team a little bit better. Obviously, like you said, he'll still be collaborating potentially, or maybe taking over for George Payton. But I think that'll really start to, because if we see more of a Sean Payton-esque team next year, and it's still not working, and it's still middling at best, that's going to make a situation to where in the next season, year after next, he might get fired in the middle of the year or something if it's still looking pretty bad. I think the clock you have to start looking all right, now we have to really see what can he do. The Raiders game, I don't think, is that indicative because there's so many other things going on. He wins the game, hell yeah. That looks pretty good. He loses it, hell yeah. A couple more draft picks. I'm not too worried about, but I think it's going to start we got to start looking at it. Is that going to work out? Because at the end of the day, we gave up a draft pick for him, and we have to be able to yield something and hold him to the same standard that he seems to hold everybody else to too. We need to win games. And that needs to kind of start as soon as possible next year. I guess depending on the way they build the roster. Obviously, if it's a rookie, we'll be a little more patient.
Yeah, Joe, you said he's going to have his handpicked choice of quarterbacks. He's not. Do you think he wants these free agent quarterbacks that are coming off of injuries, or whoever is going to be free, or Kyler Murray? Maybe a guy drops. Yes, maybe that does happen. But he really doesn't have his choice of quarterbacks. Honestly, I think if Sean Payton had it his way, he probably wanted to get the higher draft pick with the opportunity to move up. Then I would say, yeah. I mean, once the draft comes, but I don't see how he has his handpicked choice of quarterbacks because we've already gone through the options, and the options aren't that good. If the Broncos decide to dole out another big ass contract to a free agent quarterback, then that's obviously his guy. But if they bring in someone like Jameis Winston on a $5 million contract or keep a Jarett Stidham, that's obviously not his guy. That's not what he's going for. And
he signed Stidham though,
and that should be all he did. because he probably wanted him to play over Russ and was waiting for Russ to start, keep losing games.
Russ played just okay enough.
He did. But yeah, okay, so Stidham comes in here. Maybe you have Stidham who loses you 11 games, but you don't expect anything from him. So therefore it's okay because the Broncos are looking ahead towards, now we're looking 2025. Yeah, you're welcome to delay the inevitable one more year. But that'll be the sign with the Broncos. If they overpay someone, then it's Sean Payton's guy. If they move up in the draft, then it's Sean Payton's guy. But if they stick in the middle and just get a career backup, a career below average starter, someone coming off of injury, paying him a low amount of money, it's the sign that this isn't the year to really judge Sean Payton on, that he's going to go all in, not this coming year, but the year after.
No, I see. Well, this is a draft room, though. This is a draft room that's got a draft under their belt now. They've all had time to work together. They've all had time to have a discussion about what we're wanting. Yes, they did.
When was Sean Payton hired, and when was the draft? And when did he have a defensive coordinator in place?
I'm not talking about Sean Payton. I'm talking about the ownership. This is their first draft that they can come in now. They've got experience. They went through what they did. They've learned some lessons. They have George Payton there to learn those lessons with them. Now they know what to expect. Now you have a head coach that has a vision. You're not sitting there with an interim coach and you're just trying to juggle things as best as you can until you get a coach in there. You now have an ownership group and a general manager that have at least a draft under their belt now. So they know what to expect. Now you go and you sit in a room with your head coach and you say, okay, this is your vision now. Let's figure this out and let's get a plan together because X, Y, and Z aren't going to happen without A, B, and C. This is your team, but we need to know what's going on because we're still cutting the paychecks. We're cutting an $85 million one right now, and that was our bad. That was our mistake. We don't need to be making football decisions. We need to be making financial decisions.
But that's exactly
football decisions.
That's exactly what I'm saying. If Sean Payton, by the time it gets to wherever the Broncos are drafting, and they're not making a move up to get Sean Payton's guy, and they're standing pat getting whoever it is at their spot,
they're staying pat Surtain.
Staying pat Surtain. Or they're not going out and signing a free agent quarterback to a big money deal. Aren't they telling you that they don't believe that these quarterbacks are the team that are ready to help the Broncos in the future?
Or they're telling you that we clearly can't make those kind of decisions and we need to step back and be a good ownership group and give you the support you need because that's where we're at right now.
Well, yeah, but if you're giving the support that he needs, that would involve Sean Payton moving up in the draft to get his guy.
If you can. Again, we're getting back to when we were talking about the trade earlier too. You're assuming that the Broncos have enough trade capital to get themselves up higher in the draft too.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Sean Payton wanted a guy and said, "Hey, I'm trading the next 3 years draft picks for this guy." The ownership would be like, "Okay, if it's on him, it's on him."
We've all seen that song and dance though. Now you're looking at 2029.
Yeah, we are. And then Sean Payton has his guy at quarterback.
As my brother said, Shadur Sanders in 2025, baby.
Okay, so
I think Shadur comes out next year.
Yeah, that'd be
I don't think he waits till 25. I think he's next year. I think that's one of the only saving graces.
That is 2025.
Is if
well, I mean, in like 4 hours, it's 2025.
Oh yeah, okay, I guess yeah. I'm thinking later, but still, either way, like I think if they do the bridge quarterback kind of suck route, that's going to make a lot of people angry.
Yeah,
that's going to cause Sean Payton to get scrutinized even more,
and you look at
people to be even more impatient. People like us will understand that they just didn't think they had it, and they just had to go with what they can do and just get out from under the money that Russ is costing them also. But like that's going to cause the clock on Sean Payton to be like started to make the seat hotter. I don't totally agree that that's what should necessarily happen, but I think that's what will happen if they end up going that route. Because then it'll be, well, George Payton fucked up and he couldn't get the quarterback that Sean Payton wanted, assuming George Payton has a job. And I think that'll really just kind of exacerbate the problem which sucks. But at the end of the day, Bronco fans are going to want results. That's what's really going to what it's going to come down to.
I mean, we'll know when we see the draft room and what happens where the Broncos end up drafting and what they do if they do take a quarterback. But I think we really are saying a lot of the same thing.
Yeah.
If the Broncos go get that other low price whatever guy to get you through a season, we can look at teams that have done that before. I mean, look at the Bengals where they're at now. They had Andy Dalton ahead of Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Like Aaron Rodgers.
I don't want to talk about Joe Burrow.
Well, I mean, there's examples of these things where these guys have quarterbacks ahead of them and they come and end up being successful and they're bridge guys. So as a franchise and as a fan base, you have to understand what they're doing and realize it. And sometimes as a fan base, you have to accept the fact that we can't be the damn Green Bay Packers and get lucky as fuck every single time and find a quarterback no matter where we draft them at. All right? Maybe it happens for the Broncos.
They haven't done it yet.
But yeah, maybe it happens this time, but it hasn't happened yet. So sometimes you got to realize what the signs are telling you and just accept it for the season and say, yeah, no, this isn't good enough. This isn't what we want the franchise to be, but we see the vision. Instead of spending $250 million on a quarterback who's washed up.
Oh, for
past
sure.
his prime. Maybe not washed up. Well, he's definitely past his prime, maybe not washed up. But I told you guys when Russ came here that I didn't like it.
None of us really liked it that much, It was just it was okay. It just felt like so much. It was when the Broncos were always one of those teams that never did those big ass trades because it would hurt their draft capital so much. And they were always able to at least have, and obviously Elway had some pretty terrible drafts. But
it was George Payton trying to make a splash, make a name, and he failed miserably.
And because I think we all kind of were at that point where we were all just tired of all the trade rumors and all the bullshit. And I was of the opinion I didn't want Rodgers or Wilson at that point. I was just done. I was like, fuck it, just draft somebody with your late pick or bring in somebody else that's actually try to bring in somebody because they also never really did that. Case Keenum was not really trying to bring in a starting quarterback.
Case Keenum.
Case Kasem.
Case Kasem.
Joe Flacco in his prime. Nobody believed that for a second. The epitome of the bridge water quarterback.
Mark Sanchez.
Oh God, that was the fucking. I lost my mind after we won the Super Bowl, and he tries to say that Mark Sanchez is going to be the next guy after he couldn't get Colin Kaepernick. I was mad. I didn't want Kaepernick either. But yeah, so it's. It sucks, but if they do draft somebody and bring in someone, then that's great. That's that's doing something. But if they only just bring in the regular bridge guy, people are going to get mad, and then people potentially will start calling for Sean Payton's head by the end of that year. If they're bad enough, especially if Sean Payton, his attitude gets worse and it causes other players to kind of be unhappy, the Broncos may have to think, you know what, shit, we have to get rid of this guy. And that's another wasted year. So hopefully they can do something to try to start the rebuild. The rebuild, I think, needs to start next year, one way or the other. I think bringing in a Teddy Bridge quarterback, and
he's retiring, by the way.
He's not coming back. But Flacco retired too.
Here's the perfect scenario: the Broncos keep Stidham. They draft somebody at wherever they're drafting. That quarterback, he gets calls because Stidham sucks. Sean Payton puts in the rookie quarterback. The Broncos suck. They get a top 5 draft pick, and then he gets his guy.
See, that will keep people happy. And then obviously
because you played the rookie,
quarterback works
took
out.
A chance.
But but the perfect scenario is not Stidham; it's Gardner Minshew.
No, because everyone will want Gardner to keep starting.
Fuck,
yeah,
it'll be like a 50,
and it would be Joe leading the freaking fan club.
No, I would
It'd be
understand. He's not a starter.
Brandon Perna leads that fan club.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's true. But no, I would be all about I was all about keeping Trevor Siemian as a backup because he never felt like a starting caliber guy, and he felt like the kind of guy that totally could step back and just continue to be that guy. I'd be like, yeah, I'd be like slash Minshew's paycheck, keep him as a backup, the forever Jimmy Garoppolo, But no,
Always
yeah, I would
and
want
forever.
somebody to replace him as a starter eventually for sure. But yeah, that would be awesome because that's kind of what they're looking at, sadly. Because obviously getting an amazing quarterback and going on a run and being able to build the team around some ridiculous, great talent, that's the best case scenario. But that's so few and far between.
We got time. Obviously, we got to see this Russ thing play itself out. We got to wait for the season to end so they can determine the draft order. I don't know. It's time to be patient and just let the cards fall as they may, and we'll see who's really steering the ship here come maybe February, March-ish, when they start really trying to put things together. The draft boards start coming out and teams start jockeying for position and players. Yeah, right there.
I'm just checking something real quick.
Oh, Colin's researching.
I couldn't see it because I didn't have my eyes on.
Yeah. No, I was just looking.
You got a weird look.
Are you looking at where the Broncos draft right now?
No. I was looking at when George Payton's contract becomes official because he signed the 6-year deal last offseason on January 13th.
Oh, that's right.
Or 2 years ago. So sorry. So I didn't know if there was a thing for the new season that anything happened for Peyton, where if let's say by January 10th, they had to make a decision on keeping him or not.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say we'll see how long after the season goes, what happens with the front office and if Peyton's still here.
Yeah.
If Sean Payton is actually taking control of this whole thing, George Payton will be gone quickly. If George Payton is hanging around to the end of January, I don't like that. You got to make your decision to move on. It's either way, if he's here till the end of January and then you keep him hanging around into February and then you let go of him, bad move. I think that's just a bad move.
Because you're just wasting time with a guy that you weren't going to keep around. All right, here's the worst case scenario. They don't fire George Payton. They pay Kirk Cousins a bunch of money.
That would be George Payton's next move. Would bring in Cousins. That's what I'm saying.
That's what worries me is the Minnesota ties. And Cousins.
Let's not even get into Cousins. Let's not even get into it. No. He's coming off an Achilles that just happened.
I wouldn't want it. It would be funny for the "you like that" jokes, but I don't. He's the new Andy Dalton. It's the epitome of the average. Sure, he can sort of do something, but Minnesota didn't look that good this year. Last year they had a much better defense. I can't get behind, paying a free because none of the guys, like you said, feel that great. I feel like the best potentially is probably Derek Carr, which at this point in his career, I don't like. I would have loved that a few years ago. Now I'm not sold. Same with Kyler Murray.
I was gonna say I'd take Kyler Murray over any of the guys that are up right now.
I don't know who else is up right now, but
it's literally backups and Kyler Murray most likely.
Yeah, and Kirk Cousins. Yeah, that's Daniel Jones probably. That sounds awful.
No, Daniel Jones just also signed a new contract. I think they have one more year with him in New York.
I
guess it depends on what happens with their draft because they have a high draft pick also. But they keep fucking around and winning games. They almost won today and beat the Rams and screwed up my survivor pool like jackasses. It's one of those that there isn't a group available that's any good.
No,
and like I said, where the money the Broncos will tell you, Sean Payton will tell you what he's thinking with where the money goes.
Yeah.
The money speaks. And that also goes with draft picks because you're moving up. It's going to cost you money to move up, and it's going to cost you players.
Yeah.
So money talks, and we won't know really where they're at for the next. We'll get an idea in the next 2 weeks because the end of the season, then the annual let go of everybody period, and then
that's always
we move
fun.
On to the draft.
You see all these great big names that used to be awesome players. You're like, oh, that would have been cool 3 years ago.
And coach is gone and everything like that. But
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of in a few weeks, go ahead and move on. Calendar's beginning to turn to 2024.
That's tomorrow.
And so, come tomorrow, that's, I think, when the Avs and the Nuggets need to start getting serious. It's no more play with your prey anymore. It's time to start establishing yourself a little bit more.
Well, I don't think Aaron Gordon should play with dogs anymore.
I'm pretty sure that's a New Year's resolution in itself.
I think he's big and scary.
I feel bad for him. Yeah, it sucks.
I do feel bad. Yeah, I mean, we all...
You shouldn't make light of being bitten by a dog. Like, that totally sucks, but play with your prey. It's like, Aaron Gordon, just stay away from everyone else's dogs from now on. Especially downtown. You never know. I mean, you got some scary dogs downtown.
Yeah.
For sure. I guess this is a family dog.
Ballerina back to his apartment.
Yeah, you could have come by my hotel and hung out. I would have given him a safe haven.
I'm sure you would have.
You're right, Nick. Now give me $1 million. I saved you. I saved your season.
Where's my ring, damn it?
The calendar turns. It's time for both the Nuggets and Avs to turn their championship pedigree on. Flip that switch.
Speaking of dogs, pedigree.
Yep, pedigree. I'm glad someone caught that. They have a chance. Both of these teams have a chance in this second portion of the season. Not really the second half, but they have an opportunity to do something pretty special. Yeah, something special. The Nuggets getting a back-to-back championship, and the Avs returning without their captain and making the moves necessary to get a championship back on the ice in Denver. And so they have the squad. I think in the last few days you've seen an uptick, especially with the Avs and their scoring. Mikko's turned it on. Nathan has turned it on. His 4-goal game, first one in Avs history. Joker is, I mean, he's just a madman. Triple-double machine. And MPJ and Jamal Murray are both playing really well. So I think these guys have started to flip that switch on both teams.
Joe and I were talking about it Wednesday. This gives the second unit with the Nuggets too an opportunity to prove themselves with AG being out, and I think Watson kind of jumped in there and took advantage of the opportunity right away. I thought he looked good. He filled the hole.
Brazzers.
He looked like he was part of that unit. He fit in really well. And obviously Joker's going to run the table. He perfect from the field and in his triple double and, doing more Joker things with AG being out. But to know that Watson can come in there, fill that hole, and they don't have to worry too much about who that fifth guy is. Joe?
Anything to add, Joe?
No, I was just saying Brazzers because he said fill the hole again. That was it. But no, yeah, that was really encouraging to see for sure. I mean, it was against Memphis, who was terrible without John Morant. John Morant didn't play. So, but you need to see that. You need to dominate bad teams by that much. And that's what, championship pedigree teams do. I thought the lineup was interesting too, because I figured they were going to do Porter at the 4 and just have him get more rebounds and be a little bit less physical in the paint as Gordon was, but obviously he can hit the threes and he can still get rebounds, that kind of thing. And I figured they would start Christian Brown at the 3, at the wing guard, and kind of bring him in as the new starter and move Porter over. But instead they're like, nah, fuck it. Just put Peyton Watson, who's got 1 whole inch on Christian Brown, and just have a skinny power forward that plays great perimeter defense and can dunk and shoot threes sometimes. And hell yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that potentially being able to work. I said it not super like thinking it was actually going to be the case, but like the Nuggets may have their whole playoff roster on the roster already. You know, their bench rotation guys might just be there. We might just be seeing it's Christian Brown, Reggie Jackson, Peyton Watson. That could just be it. And you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. It's a little too small, but if Peyton can find more of a shot, and Christian Brown has a very efficient shot, I'd like to see him take more and see if he can continue some of that efficiency. And then Reggie, just, you know, don't fuck it up and don't throw up those prayer shots too often, but I do love it when they go in.
Oh, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, Watson has looked good in stretches, but he's still showing some young mistakes.
Yeah,
and getting too distracted and trying to overcome stuff. You know, he's trying to make up for mistakes and not leaving the bad plays behind him. You saw that when he missed the alley-oop dunk.
Yeah.
He had a sequence of like 4 plays where he got burned. I can't remember who burned him, but got to the rim and got dunked on basically, or not dunked.
Oh yeah,
but laid up and got blown by, and then he had an opportunity for a dunk and he overdid it, hit the back of the rim. Then he over pursued and ended up sitting down with the fans for 5 seconds. So you see some of that, and that it's growing pains.
But that's also probably why Malone has him out there too with that first unit. Yeah. Joker's not going to put up with it. Jamal will tell him something. MPJ in his own like friendly, brotherly way will say something, but MPJ won't jump on his case. Joker didn't care.
Yeah. No, and I think it goes to it. Like, these guys are going to have to grow, but Joe, I think you're right. They have a good playoff rotation right now. Can they stay healthy? It's been the same question that we had to ask last year if they would stay healthy. The reason they won is they were healthy the whole way through. Yeah.
Pretty helpful. It's helpful to be healthful.
Well, speaking of healthy,
also, bless you, Colin, like 3 times.
What's that?
I was saying bless you to Colin for like the past 3 times.
I muted it so no one had to hear it.
But we can tell. Sorry, Nick.
As I was saying, a healthy dose of college football tomorrow. Hopefully these games will be a little more entertaining than the rest of them have. I have yet to actually, the Air Force game was good, but that's just because I had a rooting interest in it.
Yeah.
Alabama and Michigan will play at 5 at the historic Rose Bowl. And then at 8:45.
Oh, sorry.
Alabama.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
8:45. Well, these are Eastern time, so 3 p.m. Eastern is Alabama, Michigan, and 6:45 p.m. Eastern is Texas and Washington, coming to you live from the Sugar Bowl.
Sugar.
I was gonna say where Alabama proves why they deserve to be in instead of Florida State.
We know that.
I think Florida State already established that.
I don't think you're getting what I'm saying. Alabama's going to beat Michigan.
We got that.
I know. I am too.
That's very clear.
I very much so am. Harbaugh is more worried about his agent right now and going to the NFL than he is what Michigan's going to be doing, because he can't have anybody spying on Alabama right now.
Alabama.
Oh, don't put it past Harbaugh to find a way, especially if
he already has.
It's going to be his last season there anyway. So why does he have to deal with any sanctions? He's going to do everything everything under exactly. He's going to. He has spies. He has everything out there. And then in 2 years, when everyone's calling for Sean Payton's head, he'll be like, "Where's Harbaugh at?"
No.
God no.
No.
Yeah, that sounds like.
I already didn't want Payton.
I really didn't want Harbaugh.
Should have just kept Hackett.
No.
So wait.
No,
so do we all have Alabama beating Michigan?
I think so. I don't think Michigan's got enough.
Yeah,
It's Saban's last hurrah.
Oh my
think
gosh!
so.
I
Are we doing college football? Or are we just gonna? Is that gonna be our segue into
well, no, we're just gonna we're
the
doing the picks right
formation
now.
of Victoria? I guess that we're not gonna pick him, are we?
No, because I'm gonna recap the season. I decided on the fly that we're gonna pick these games with this segment. So
I love
yeah.
it.
So yeah.
Yeah, then I'm taking Alabama if we're picking them.
I can't believe we're all taking Alabama. Oh man,
I can't believe I'm picking Alabama. I never thought I would see the day.
I feel like just taking Michigan for the hell of it. I'm not gonna. I just can't. I just can't choose Harbaugh. Although I do think that'll probably be the better game of the two because
I don't know, the Grinch or Scrooge, which one's better?
uh,
That's about where we're at right now between Saban and Harbaugh.
yeah,
We'll take
right.
Grinch or Scrooge.
Grinch is funnier. It's got Jim Carrey. Scrooge actually also was.
Scrooge had Bill Murray.
Hello, the Muppet
Bill
Christmas Carol.
Bill Murray, the original Scrooged.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, that's
Old
a good
school.
one.
Yeah, talk
Yeah.
about a nice pull right there.
That was a nice pull.
So
And
what
that's
are
a
we
good
doing?
name too. You know.
What are we doing?
But does Scrooge have a song sang by James Earl Jones?
Very well
think so.
could.
We don't know for sure.
I mean, I don't know all of James.
I don't think he
Jones
does.
songs.
Thanks, Pete.
Okay. Wow, we're all picking. Holy shit. Okay. I did not expect that. I did not expect Alabama to be a clean sweep.
I didn't either. But
Are any of us?
Who you
Is
got?
anyone
Michigan,
choosing?
Alabama.
Is anyone choosing Washington over Texas?
I was gonna roll the dice on Washington. Actually.
Oh well, I guess you already did roll the dice on Washington earlier in the
Fuck
show.
you, Blue!
Yeah.
Roll Tide!
So Nick has Washington. Joe?
I rolled the dice once on him before. It worked out pretty well.
Rolling the dice. I don't
I'm gonna
know.
go with the
I mean,
Huskies.
they got. Yeah, fuck it. I'll roll them. Let's go.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go with the disrespect. You
Hook 'em
know,
horns.
but yeah, I feel like it's probably not good. It's not going to work out. But you know, let's do
Unless
it.
Washington is it?
You're not to fuck with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go work
Yeah.
my
And now
crib
we
walk
have
now.
the fiendish Dr. Wu's Tang clan. I don't know much about these boys, but I've heard they ain't none to fuck with.
I guess I'm pulling for Texas and memory of my friend who passed away earlier this year, but yeah, put me on the Longhorn bandwagon and then also get Quinn Ewers in the draft and let Archie Manning take some damn snaps next year.
Arch Manning. Archie is the-
Arch, I know. It feels like you should call him Archie. He's a
No.
kid.
He's
Yeah.
got to have his own brand.
Archie never had a brand.
You know,
His
I'm
brand
sure
was
he did.
Manning. His brand was Manning.
Oh, let's go to Louisiana and see
It's
what
little
old-timey
Archie. Little
Archie
Archie.
Manning businesses are open from the off seasons that he used to run.
Yeah, because Arch Manning took him all over with all of his NIL money. So we got
A couple other games. I mean, there's another game on the agenda tomorrow too, if you guys care. It is number 23 Liberty at number 8 Oregon. That one's at 11 p.m. That is the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. I've always enjoyed the Fiesta Bowl. I don't know why.
I was gonna say Liberty School of what's his name who plays for Tennessee that I forgot. Who's a really good guy. He was their draft pick last year. Their quarterback who just Willis, right? Willis.
I'm looking.
Yes, Malik Willis is out of Liberty.
Malik Willis. Yes, Malik
There it
Willis was their quarterback who led them to an almost undefeated record, and people were talking about them being in a bowl game. But yes, no, I don't really care about that. Yeah, BB. So okay, Joe, did you say Texas or did you say Washington? I can't hear you if you're still muted. Oh, okay, you got the dub. Okay, all right. Well, man, there we go. Well, we got our first picks of the year in then.
Oh, yeah. My brother does bring up a good question before we move on from this real quick. Should we consume more mascots? I'm upset that I did not get to consume my Pop-Tart mascot.
Yes. I'm not sure what we're referring to, but I mean we should eat mascots. Yes.
Did you not see the Pop-Tart bowl?
The Pop-Tart mascot, the first edible mascot.
No, I did not see that.
Okay, yeah. He went into a toaster and came out as a toasty pastry.
And the team that won got to eat them.
That's wonderful. Where was this?
It was a Pop-Tart bowl.
Pop-Tart bowl.
At a Pop-Tart bowl?
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
first year.
that was college. Okay, which game was it?
Hence the Pop-Tart bowl.
No,
It
but
was
who
North Carolina
cares?
State and
It was a
Kansas State.
game.
Who cares? It was a Pop-Tart bowl.
Okay, I don't know.
Nobody cared
Okay,
about the
so-
game. They don't care about the Pop-Tart.
Well, I wouldn't have-
Exactly.
the only way I would have seen it if I was interested in the game, then it ended up having a Pop-Tart. All right. So
I actually
talked
did
about it.
I actually did end up having a Pop-Tart that day. I didn't even realize it. I was wondering what was on my mind. I had some s'mores Pop-Tarts and I ate a pack.
Oh, those are the best.
that's
Yeah.
good fucking advertising right there.
Hey, hashtag DMs are open.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Matt or Matthew, whatever you prefer, brother of
Matthew.
Nick Archuleta.
Should we have more edible mascots?
Yeah.
No.
Savannah
because,
bananas? Come on. Giant fucking banana?
You want to be a ramen, Matt?
the Savannah banana would have to be a mascot for the Lingerie Football League.
Sure. That sounds great.
No.
I'll eat it.
John?
No, we're not going there.
No, we're not gonna do that to him.
Oh,
I
okay.
agreed. What do you mean? I went there. It's enough said.
You can go and wear it.
Okay.
I think the worst part is he actually would.
See, what they need to do
All
is
right.
have another rival team called the Hammocks. So it'd be the banana hammock match off.
Think we get reps to get the Browns to come back for one season as the Hammocks?
Speaking
love-
of
yes.
off, we're
Yes.
getting off topic and out of time.
Yeah, we got like 4 minutes, so because Instagram's gonna kick us off at an hour.
Yep.
I'm happy. Oh, well, that's lame. Fuck you, Instagram. I'm kidding. We love you, Instagram.
This is the victory formation.
All right, boys, here we go. Best play in football. 6 right tight diamond victory on 1. Break.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, it's jam.
The Pick'em segment, proving that Colin Zanker is the most humble man in the history of time. Or sorry, least. Featuring Nick Archuleta, wishing he was somewhere else. And Joe Goodwin, just kinda winging it.
Well, we kind of winged it through this whole year, and we come to a finale of the victory formation, and your results are pretty damn awesome. In the last and final Megala Pick'em segment, one of us went 7-1.
We called
One
it
of
the
us
Meg.
went 2-5, and the other went 4-4. Let's get through these games. First game was Patriots versus the Broncos. Guess who was the only one smart enough to pick the Broncos to lose a game that they should have won? That would be me. Broncos
Nick.
win that game. Nick and Joe both lose that. The two people who believed in the Raiders beating the Chiefs weren't talked out of it, and that would be Joe was the one who couldn't talk us out of it. Nick and I got that one right. For some reason, Joe couldn't get himself off the DiNucci bandwagon. But Joe found, or Nick found a way. Joe couldn't. I did too, as the Eagles barely beat the Giants. If you're keeping track, I'm 3-0.
You mean Tommy DeVito?
Tommy DeVito. What did I say?
Is it Ben DiNucci?
Ben DiNucci. Oh, Ben DiNucci. Well, he might be their next backup quarterback after DeVito signs a contract with the New York Stallions or something.
The Jets.
We move on to the last of the Monday night games, the Christmas games, Ravens versus 49ers. Everybody loved the 49ers last week except for me, and I was right, as the Ravens came out victorious. Can you guess who went 7-1 yet? We all chose the Nuggets to beat the Warriors on Christmas Day. Nick and I chose the Celtics to beat the Lakers. I was the only one to choose the Heat over the 76ers. And I don't know why I chose the Suns, but my one loss came with the Mavericks beating the Suns. Nick and I both chose wrong on that one. Meaning, to wrap things up for the year, I had the big win of the week at plus $173.
Who?
Nick, you were 4-4, netting $55. Joe, let's try to start this year off better on a better note. As you ended up minus $20.16.
I don't want
Still not too bad for only winning 2 games, only losing $20. And that brings our final totals to I was at $1,101.36. Nick, don't call it a comeback. In
He's
second,
been here for years.
677.86, and Joe 478.92 with fake $10 bets. All profit, baby, for the whole year. And we already have our first picks in of this next season. That is all of us choosing Alabama, and then I'm taking Texas, and the 2 Pac-12 homers taking Washington. But that does it for the victory information for this year. Hopefully we can keep everyone on track and winning some money this next season, and entertain with some random who the hell cares type of betting as well. Appreciate everybody.
Yeah. Especially the 2 people in the chat right now, Matthew and our guy Clayton. There he is again.
Happy New Year, everybody. As we wrap this thing up, thank you to everyone who's tuned in and followed us along this year and through our shenanigans. I don't know if Nick's frozen or not, but that looks like he's back now. But we appreciate y'all. Love you all.
My Instagram was messing up with my feed, so we're gonna end the show now.
Yep.
That's the plan, yeah.
Go ahead and end it, Nick.
All right. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Until this Instagram thing stops chopping me up, we appreciate you all. We love you all. Have a great New Year. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully next year we'll have a whole lot more fun. Maybe we'll get more interactive as well. And we love you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you to Michael Spillane and everybody over at e5280sports.com. Head over there, too.
Bye, guys.
See you next year.
All right. I'm going to exit.